On this episode of the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino, we discuss the OU players that are entering the portal. We discuss OU Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. We recap the conference championship games, and we talk some CFP, Mike Gundy, and Thunder in winners and losers of the weekend. Please download and subscribe to the podcast. Rate it 5 stars and write us a good review. Follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search Oklahoma Breakdown on any of those, and you'll find us. All right, our man Michael Hosty will kick this thing off. It's time for the Oklahoma Breakdown. It's a beautiful Sunday, December 8th, and you're listening to the Oklahoma Breakdown with Ikard and Lehman, presented by Riverwind Casino. Riverwind is Oklahoma City's premier casino experience, and there are so many reasons why Riverwind is consistently voted OKC's #1 casino, but it all starts with their amazing variety of gaming thrills and excitement. Riverwind's beautiful award-winning environment plays host to more than 2,800 of the latest electronic games with a huge selection of table games, including blackjack, blackjack match, roulette, and Teddy's favorite, craps. No matter what your game, Riverwind has it in spades and hearts. And to learn more about their gaming promotions and entertainment options in the month of December, all you got to do is visit riverwind.com. Riverwind Casino, good times, great rewards. A lot to talk about.
Yeah, I would say so.
Portal, bowl game, college football playoff, recap these conference championship games. Let's just dive in, man. We got a lot to get to.
Let's do it.
We do, reminder, we do have all of our stuff in one place now, okbreakdown.com. We'll have some more in the weeds about Ben Arbuckle's offense going up this week. Scheduled to be joined by Ryan Leaf to talk about some Ben Arbuckle offense as well. Get an interview with Ryan Leaf this week, which should be very cool. So that'll all be on our YouTube channel and on our website as well. So okbreakdown.com. OU football updates. Let's dive into the roster situation.
Yep.
Sooners that have entered the portal. Let's start with the most noticeable one, and of course, that's Nic Anderson. And we have an In the Weeds on our YouTube channel about Nic Anderson's side of things. And don't want to go through all of those details again. If you haven't watched that video, go watch it. But you can get the short summary is that Nic Anderson appears to love OU. He just happens to have a problem with the training staff. I think that's the short version. Now, some interesting information has been relayed to me, Ted, because I was told there was an MRI done a week after his initial injury in training camp. So getting two different versions of that story, I don't know why I would get two different versions of that story, but that is what is happening. I was also told that OU's training staff has been collaborating with a specialist out of New York City for Nick over the last couple of months, and they felt good about where the situation was. So, dude, I don't really know what's going on is kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I think all we can speak on is what our experiences were at OU with the training staff. And there was never at one point in my career at Oklahoma where I felt like the training staff did not have my best interest at heart. Not once. And maybe clearly every guy doesn't have that experience. But I refuse to believe that OU's training staff all of a sudden has become incompetent. I just don't believe that. So I don't know where the disconnect is in this, saga for Nic Anderson that this whole thing has turned into. But I don't know. I can just speak on what my experience was. And I had a great experience with OU's training staff. Thought they were fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's interesting. And I guess interesting is not the right word. It's frustrating because I don't know what the true story is. Now there's different ways to treat different injuries. People may have a different point of view or a different plan as to how to treat something. And all injuries aren't the same. Some guys heal better than others. Some surgeries take, others don't. So mean, I don't know. I feel very confident that they are doing the best they can to treat these guys and get them back on the field as quickly and as safely as possible. Now, everyone may not always agree on the best path forward, but those decisions are made in the player's best interest. No one has. It's not good for anyone if the players aren't back out on the field and aren't healthy as quickly as possible. There are no motives here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, mistakes are going to be made just like with anything else, but I don't know. This one's kind of hard to figure out exactly where the mistake was made. I don't know.
I would say it's really, really unfortunate that you're going to lose a player like Nic Anderson, or at least that's how it feels. Who knows what ends up happening? But it seems like Nick's going to move on. I do think the overall positive is, and let me make something clear: OU takes a ton of pride in their sports medicine department. A ton of pride. Like they feel that they've been on the kind of the forefront of a lot of things when it comes to sports medicine, especially college football stuff that they did with concussions that people weren't doing, stuff that they did with sickle cell that people weren't doing. Like they take a lot of pride in this, and so this is very, very frustrating for OU's leadership. But it does cause this overall audit of how everything is running. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially as OU transitions to this NFL style model. I think taking a deep dive on how sports medicine, like the athletic training, the nutrition, like how that's all working together, strength and conditioning, I think it's a good thing. Am I glad that this is the reason why the deep dive overview is going to have to happen? No, I don't love that that's the reason. But remember, and this is something that we talked about on the In the Weeds video, OU's leadership isn't doing this just because Nic Anderson has entered the transfer portal. This is something that has been, this has been a topic of conversation at the highest levels of the university for several months now. So we'll see what this new structure ends up looking like for OU. And I'm really just talking about football specifically. We'll see what the new structure, like the new strategy is. But my hope is that overall, this turns into a positive thing for Oklahoma football.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, as they get all the new structure and everything dialed in, hopefully it works out better for everyone and stuff like this doesn't pop up. You can never foresee and you can never prevent all of the issues that you're going to have. Um, this specific injury, I don't know. I still don't know exactly what it was. And maybe it's a rare one that a lot of people didn't have a lot of experience with. I don't know. Like I said, it's really hard to put your finger on exactly what went wrong here because it seems like there's swirling stories as to like when we don't know the actual details of what all and how it all unfolded, then it's kind of hard to figure out where exactly you need to make the fix. But I do think that the new structure should have some, I guess, lack of a better term, there should be some better checks and balances throughout.
We're not doctors. We're not athletic trainers. We're not physical therapists. I just believe with my experience at OU, I just find it very, very hard to believe that there was just like negligence going on. That's very, very difficult for me to believe.
Yeah.
But everyone has their own experience. That is, I still trust, like I still go down to Norman if something's bothering me and have the trainers work on me. Like, and they're kind enough to do that for me. And like, I have never once questioned. So I don't know, what's going on here. And I hope that it all gets worked out and everything just gets ironed out because you got a lot of things to worry about as a college football program. And this has never been an issue for Oklahoma. And all of a sudden it has turned into a very big topic of conversation.
Yeah, it has. And I don't like it for anyone involved. Um,
Like I think Nic Anderson's experience is like an outlier.
sure,
I
those happen.
that's what I believe. Now, are there other guys that maybe had bad experiences? Sure, but I don't know. This has never been an issue, and all of a sudden it's a big issue. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's wild that this is kind of where it's come. It's I think we all agree that it would have been a much better deal to have Nic Anderson healthy and ready to go. Um, and like I said on the In the Weeds video, if you are a guy that's prone to some of these soft tissue things, it is on you to do the preventative maintenance to make sure that your body is in the right working order to be able to handle the workload that you're going to have at whatever position you play. I a lot of times soft tissue injuries come down to guys not being in the shape they need to be in. They often happen at the beginning of training camp, right, or the beginning of the season, whenever that may be, because maybe you didn't prepare the way that you needed to coming in. Not saying that that's the case here, but oftentimes that's how you can trace things back. So, I mean, there's two sides to every situation, and one of the like if they're truly going to enter into an NFL model, guys are going to find out real quickly. There's your hand is held in college right now through everything that you do. When you go to the NFL, most of that stuff is on you. And if you want to stick around in that league, you better be prepared. You better do the things that you're expected to do. And number one is take care of your own body. So I don't know. We'll see where this thing leads.
I don't think it's going to be like some giant overhaul of what OU does from a sports medicine standpoint. I just think it's going to be they're trying to improve it any way they can.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like, but if you can make it more efficient, if you can have more people that specialize in certain areas collaborate, then that's what you want. So we'll see. I hope we don't have to talk about this again. That's honestly my hope.
Let's stay healthy.
Stay healthy and no one will discuss it. Win a bunch of games, no one will discuss it. So we'll see, but ultimately Nic Anderson's a very talented wide receiver. There's going to be a lot of schools that are very interested in him coming out of the portal.
No doubt.
And we'll see where he ends up landing. So an update on Jackson Arnold's situation as he heads to the portal. According to On3's Pete Nakos, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State are schools to watch for Jackson Arnold. No surprise, Ted. The guy's extremely talented. He's got a lot of football ahead of him. He's got a lot of eligibility left. So I don't think this surprises anyone that a place like Georgia or a place like Auburn, certainly Lebby being at Mississippi State makes all the sense in the world, but there are going to be a lot of people that feel like they can get the most out of Jackson Arnold and correct some of the things that he really struggled with this season.
Yeah. Big, strong, physical football player, could do a lot of damage running, throws a great ball, is accurate, has great arm strength, can make all the throws. There's no doubt about it. Surrounded with the right talent, the right development, the right offensive line and structure, I think that he's going to have a lot of success. And I'm not overly surprised that he went ahead and jumped in the portal, even with Arbuckle coming. I think that he could have a lot of success in Arbuckle's system. But, I can also there was a lot of bad football that took place. And I don't I would prefer everyone stays. Okay, I mean that's just kind of how it is, but that's not going to be the case. So I can understand when a guy wants a fresh start. I mean, I I understand that. Doesn't mean that I do the same thing. I'm just saying I can understand. And Jackson Arnold, I think he's a guy that when he went into the bowl game last year against Arizona, he had came in that BYU game, helped us get out of there with the win. Played, I thought, pretty well in that Arizona game, was confident, was letting the ball fly. Somewhere between that game and the start of this season, the confidence in him was totally gone. And I don't know if that was scheme. I don't know if that was coaching. I don't know if that was the anxiety of being the guy or everyone talking about the mistakes that he made, but the confidence was totally gone. And he needs to separate himself from all of that and go find his confidence again with a fresh slate, perhaps.
Absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to see what type of system he wants to get in. Like if he wants to play in an RPO heavy style system, clearly Mississippi State, that's a system he's going to be very familiar with Lebby, but that's what Auburn does. That's what Hugh Freeze likes to do. Could he thrive in that system with some of the receivers they got? Yeah. Like he absolutely could. And then Georgia's Georgia. You're going to have talent all around you. So it'll be interesting if it ends up being somewhere other than those three places, but those are three good options for Jackson Arnold. But Ted, you're right. The bottom line is he's got to get his confidence back. It's really difficult to play that position at a high level if you don't walk on the field every single game thinking you're the man.
Yep.
And there was a lot of hesitation and uncertainty from Jackson Arnold this year, but will it surprise me if he's starting at a big time program next year and playing at a high level? No, it won't. I mean, it won't shock me, but we'll see. We'll see where he ends up. You
A
think
lot
he
of
ends up
talent
in the
there.
SEC? Notre Dame?
Well, I mean, it's impossible for me to know. I mean, if there's really something behind the Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State stuff, I would say it seems likely. Those are the teams that have probably watched the most of him. And, the Mississippi State one seems, because I know it's not just system related, which, he really did like the system, but I know that he had a really good relationship with Levy. So that's the most natural position that you would think of.
I I think it'd be a great fit. I'd be cheering for him and wouldn't mind it because OU doesn't play him next year.
Right. Right.
So we just avoid that situation. Now, if he goes to Auburn, we do not avoid that situation. But we'll see what ends up happening with Jackson Arnold. He's going to be, there are going to be a lot of people interested. Were you surprised that Bauer Sharp hopped in the portal?
Not really. Not really. Um, I'll tell you, like for me, I think I think Bauer Sharp is a a good split out, stand up in the slot, pass catching tight end. Think he runs well, think he gets open well. That's what he's best at. And he played basically fullback all year for OU. All right. Not used as a pass catcher a whole lot. Used as a battering ram against defensive ends and backers. And that's tough duty. And I just don't think it's what he is actually good at. So it doesn't surprise me that he's jumping in the portal at all.
I don't know if it surprises me, but I'm disappointed. And I understand he's received a ton of criticism this year. And with some of his struggles as a blocker, some of his struggles catching the ball, like criticism comes with that, right? That's just you're playing at Oklahoma, man. A lot of fans, a lot of eyeballs on these games, and a lot of strong opinions from this fan base. But I thought he was going to be a, I thought he was going to be a much better player for OU next year. I mean, you got to remember this guy has barely played the position, and I just
Definitely
wanted to,
improved the blocking as the season went on.
yeah, the zone insert stuff, and for whatever way or whatever reason, they got away from that concept in the last 3 games of the season. But I was pretty confident just watching Ben Arbuckle's stuff from Washington State that Arbuckle was going to sit down and go, "Hey, this guy can run. He's a solid route runner. Let's magnify his strengths and not ask him to do a bunch of stuff he's not great at." Like, I was confident Ben Arbuckle bringing a fresh set of eyes, them going and get maybe a more of a blocking style tight end to do some of the things that Bauer Sharp struggled with. Like, that's what my hope was. Like, hey, take Bauer out of some of those situations where he just doesn't thrive and let him go do what he's good at. But, for whatever reason, he's not sticking around. And I don't know if that's a situation where they went, "Hey, this is a little too toxic," or "Hey, this is," I don't know. But I will not be surprised at all when he lands at a good school. And I think a bunch of OU fans are going to go, "Wait, they wanted Bauer Sharp. He's big and he can run. Those guys just don't grow on trees." There's going to be someone that looks at his stuff of him operating out of the slot going, "We can do something with this guy." So I won't be surprised at all if he lands at another SEC school or like a Big Ten school. I think the teams that are interested in Bauer Sharp will surprise a lot of OU fans.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me either. And I think that there's definitely systems out there that are going to be better suited. And frankly, I think Arbuckle's system is kind of one of those that he'd be better suited in. So, yeah, I'll be interested to see where he ends up. I mean, like you said, there's not a whole lot of these guys out there, So I don't know. Interesting.
We'll see.
Well, I know this, like, especially with him gone, there is a big bullseye on the tight end department for players. We are not going to be able to exist in this conference without quality players at that position.
I would imagine it is a significant position of emphasis for the Sooners portal approach. Because what Jake Roberts has done, Sharp's in the portal. Devon Mitchell, we didn't see a single snap of that guy in a season where the Sooners went 6-6. So, I mean, Caden Helms, we saw bits and pieces, but we all know what his injury history is. Cade McIntyre is, let's be real, that guy's not a tight end. He's not the size of a tight end. He's kind of a utility player, an H-back, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, man, you got to figure that position out. You got to do it quickly. That needs to be addressed. The portal opens tomorrow.
Well, they already made the one offer to the Tulsa tight end, right?
Yes. I would assume he's going to assume the role. If he ends up coming, like, he's going to assume the role of meathead, because I saw his stats. There are no stats.
No, I know. I was surprised at the offer.
I have not, I won't lie, I have not studied his stuff. So I don't know if it's a head scratching situation or if he's like, okay, I see what they see. I haven't watched him.
Yeah. I guess I
don't watch him unless they commit in the portal.
Right.
Then I watch him.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
we'll see.
So if he commits, then you'll get a review from me.
That I mean, you're right. That may be. I don't know if it's the most important position in the portal, but it's one of them because like there's just right now there's no one there that has any real experience at all, health issues and all kinds of other stuff. So I don't know.
Jaquaize Pettaway is in the portal reportedly. These are all reportedly, right?
Right.
But remember when he had 9 catches against Arkansas State in the opener last year?
Yeah.
He's had 7 catches since then. I I don't know if he was just never healthy. Like he wasn't the biggest guy in the world, but he was supposed to have this big time speed. We never really got to see it. We saw glimpses of it, but I don't know, just kind of a weird situation where it just never came together for him at the wide receiver spot.
Like some of these have you really wondering, like, is there off field issues? Like, what's going on? Because I really liked what I saw from Pedway. I thought he had good speed. I like his build. There was a lot to like about him. And okay, if he doesn't get any reps because we've got our 5 or 6 man rotation with our top guys and, he doesn't break that lineup. Okay. But all those guys were out. And it's not like we had any crazy production, replacing that. It was like open season for anyone that can do anything. And just a handful of even snaps. So it makes you wonder, like, I don't know what the deal is there. That just doesn't line up. So not a shock at all that he's jumped in the portal.
No, I don't know if it was, I just had some stuff that was like some health issues over the last couple seasons, but you're right. The top 5 guys were out all season long, essentially, and the guy barely got on the field. So, yeah, this was one that I think everyone saw coming.
Yeah,
So no
absolutely.
surprise here. The other portal entry for the Sooners, Kalib Hicks, one of the great mysteries over the last couple of years. Guy absolutely looks the part and did not play. And every time you see a guy like that and he's not playing, it's good to remind yourself that if he could go out there and do what he needed to do and help the football team, the coaches would put him on the field. I don't believe OU's coaches don't want to put their best players, their most talented players on the field. Impossible for me to believe.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Kalib Hicks could not earn his way on the field for Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's why these things are tough is whenever you don't know the story and you don't get to see the meeting rooms and every practice to see who's making progress, who could do the stuff that they're asked to do. Because if you didn't know anything about Oklahoma or the roster at all, and you walked out to watch a practice, you would say, "Well, that guy's the starting running back. I can tell that right now by the way that he looks." Right? So that's the strange thing about, and he's I watched him in a handful of practice. He's had a handful of carries where he looks fine, looks adequate, looks like a guy that you would think would get more chances. But I mean, and it's not like I know Xavier Robinson came on late, and Javante Barnes had the nice game against Ole Miss and then got hurt the week next. But it's not like the last couple of years anyone has just grabbed a hold of that position and said, like, this is your dominant number one guy. It's kind of been an open rotation for 2 years since Eric Gray left.
And for whatever reason, Kalib Hicks was never really a factor.
Yeah.
We'll It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. You see his physical build. You see him. You see the physical tools he's got. He was a highly recruited kid. You would assume that he's going to land somewhere, and I'm very interested to see where he lands, and I'm very interested to see how he performs if he gets on the field for someone.
Yeah, I agree. He's one
Anything
of those guys that I have since he showed up have circled and said, I can't wait. I can't wait for the time that he finally gets his opportunity, and it just never happens. So I mean, you just physically he looks like he checks every box. So I would imagine he's going to catch on somewhere and probably somewhere good.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. Any other portal thoughts? We'll see. Hopefully, once this thing opens tomorrow, the Sooners will start getting land some early commitments. You want to get these guys in the boat early before they can take a bunch of other visits. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. No, I totally agree. It's just like everything else. This is going to be a massively important month.
There's also a bowl game.
Is there?
There's a
Okay.
bowl game. The Sooners, hey, bowl eligible, baby. Go to bowl game. We'll react to the matchup next. But first, hitting the highway, remember to stop at Love's Travel Stops. You can't miss the heart of the highway. And with the Love's app, you can also save big. How big? 10 or 15 cents big. Save 10 cents per gallon on gas and 15 cents per gallon on auto diesel. Save with the Love's app today and be welcomed by clean places and friendly faces. Certain conditions may apply. See loves.com for details.
Who doesn't love a beefy deal during the holidays? At Didier Ranch, they are bringing their beef in a box full of deals. When you order on DidierRanch.com, you will get free shipping throughout the holidays. And if you use code Oklahoma15 at checkout, you'll also get 15% off your order. Get Oklahoma's finest beef when you order from Didier Ranch. Didier Ranch, tradition tastes better.
And we are brought to you by Simple Modern, the official drinkware partner of the OU Sooners. This holiday season, get every Sooner on your list covered with Simple Modern's holiday gift guide, sure to make everyone feel holly jolly and bright. Head to simplemodern.com to check out gifts for everyone like drinkware, totes, kids' gifts, and all your favorite licensed character merchandise. And now, with Simple Modern's new personalizer, you can create personalized gifts with just a few clicks. With 10% of all Simple Modern profits going to charity, you're also spreading holiday cheer all over Oklahoma and beyond. Simple Modern. It's good everywhere. Well, the bowl game for the Sooners has been announced, Ted, and yikes. The Oklahoma will play Navy in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl Friday, December 27th. That'll be an 11 a.m. kickoff on ESPN. And I'm just speaking from a former player's perspective. Playing a triple option team in a bowl game sounds like absolute hell.
Yes. I will say this, though. I'd rather play them in a bowl game where you've got extended time to prepare for them than I would just kind of thrown into the middle of a schedule, because you've got to try and find a way to get your scout team to give you a decent look for their offense and what all they do. And hey, I'll say defensively, this is opportunity to go stack up some tackle numbers.
I I I have a hard time believing that any guy that was on the fence on OU's defense about playing in the bowl game. I don't think a triple option team was the nudge that you needed to play in it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Hey, maybe Danny Stutzman looks at it and goes, I'm going to go out with a 25 tackle game. Let's do it. But that just, that doesn't seem that likely, right? I mean, that is, if you're a defensive guy on the fence for Oklahoma, you're looking at it going, maybe I should probably just start preparing for the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Game, the Combine, whatever. instead
Yeah.
of preparing for the triple option.
Yeah. It is it's an interesting preparation. Your pass rushers up front are guys that are going to be the most, like if you're a linebacker, these games are fun to play in, man. You're going to have a super busy day in the run game, not a whole lot of pass stuff going on. But for the secondary and your rush guys, not the most fun.
Navy went 8-3. They had a very, very lopsided loss to Notre Dame. They got beat 51-14 in that game. The next week, they went to Rice and got beat, which was a surprising result. And then Tulane beat them 35-0 a couple weeks ago. So I think one of the most important things to remember is Navy has a game this week.
Yeah. Army, Navy.
They play Army this week. So we're all super interested in that game anyways. And now I will be paying extra attention to that one, Ted. And we'll see. Blake Horvath is he is Navy's best player. He's the guy that makes everything go offensively, and he missed, like, he's been banged up. I believe their last game, Braxton Woodson was the guy at quarterback for that entire East Carolina game. So clearly we'll have an eye on if Horvath is gonna be in the mix for this bowl game or not. But yeah, what an interesting matchup. At least it's close. At least it's in Fort Worth.
Yeah. It's close. It's an interesting preparation. Curious to see what our final roster looks like going into this thing. Um, I don't know how accurate this is, but just some quick little addition and subtraction. Navy 506 rushes this year offensively to just 157 passes. So, I mean, you're going to see a big dose of the run. And I guess to anyone worried about the 11 a.m. kick, at least it'll probably be over quickly.
This will be a very short game.
Should be a short game.
You think about the situation for OU's offense, it could be two triple option teams playing each other, basically.
Yep.
Now, I'm excited to see what the offense looks like with Michael Hawkins at quarterback for this game. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch that guy, but OU has been, you start thinking about what this could look like offensively for OU. Bauer Sharp is reportedly in the portal. For the vast majority of the season, we've been an 11 personnel team with Bauer Sharp on the field as the tight end. We've seen some 12 personnel with Jake Roberts coming in. So does Jake Roberts become the 11 personnel guy? And then is Caden Helms the 12 personnel guy? How does Cade McIntyre factor in? What's the personnel approach even going to be? Because if you're light at tight end, normally you go, okay, we'll just go 10 personnel. We'll just put a bunch of wide receivers out on the field. Well, no.
We don't have a bunch of those either. Yeah. I'm very curious to see what the game plan is. And I'll say this, it's a dangerous football game if you can't score. And like we know how these academy games go. If they start moving the ball on you and you don't have much of an answer for the, just nickel and dime in the running game, and they can control the football, it can get hairy really quickly on you if you don't have some success on offense.
The thing that people look at the Navy Notre Dame game, and I think OU fans, we view ourselves on the same level as Notre Dame. I think that's very fair to say, even with how bad the season has gone this year. You got to remember, Navy turned it over 6 times in that game. That's unlikely to happen again, just statistically speaking.
Right.
So you better be ready to strap up and be ready for a 4-quarter fight.
That's right. And, I just look at, and I think Army is a level better than Navy. But you just look at what Army did to Tulane. That's a good Tulane football team. And they just beat their ass. Like if they that's what I'm saying. If they start moving the ball on you, forget about it. It's over.
I I do think there's going to be some guys on the defense that don't play, but I feel good about the guys that are going to step into those spots. Like if Stutzman doesn't play, I feel good about Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis at inside backer.
Yep.
Like if Billy
This is the
Bowman,
Kobe McKenzie game.
yeah, it is absolutely a Kobe McKenzie game. And, you know, if Billy Bowman decides not to play in the secondary, I feel really good about Peyton Bowen and RSJ at the safety spots.
Yep.
So I'm not overly concerned about the defense. Clearly, not going to be a ton of fun prepared for the triple option. This just in, you got to stop the run. That's going to be the key to this one. But offensively is where I'm more interested in what this thing's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like, just to predict what the final version of our roster looks like. Like, forget what the game plan is going to be. I'm just talking about what are the 11 guys that you're going to have on the field. What's it going to look like?
December 27th, 11 a.m., OU versus Navy in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Got to feel it. Everyone watching's going to be cheering for Navy in the Armed Forces Bowl. Just a guess.
Yeah. Yep.
And
See,
it's at
upset.
TCU's. It's at Amanji Carter Stadium, so it's at TCU's stadium.
Yep.
Easy trip for OU fans. I would assume there's going to be a lot of Crimson and Cream in the crowd. So many OU fans live in that area, anyways. So I would expect a strong showing from Sooner Nation because of how convenient it is to get there for us.
Convenient, easy to get to. And I know it's the different circumstance, but everyone was really geared up to go, play the Army game on the road and see their place. But I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority. I enjoy these type of football games. To see the service academies play. You want them to play well, but you hope you beat them, right? I mean, that's kind of where it is. You got to have respect for what those guys do and kind of where this falls on the priority list for those guys. But still, I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup for Oklahoma.
I do feel I do feel a little for the fan base. One of the fun things about the buildup to a bowl game is just being able to talk trash to the other team's fan base. Like that's fun. Like
Right.
that there's this animosity builds and then they play the game, right? You can't talk trash to Navy people.
Nope.
Serving the country. Can't talk trash to Navy fans.
And there's going to be a lot of this doesn't really happen with any other matchup. You've got dual loyalty fans, right? I mean, how many fans of Oklahoma are also Navy guys, So
Yeah.
there's also that factor in there. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Interesting is a word for it.
Can't wait to break this one down.
I can't we will preview it just like we preview all of the other games the week of the game. But there's a lot that's going to happen between now and then for OU football.
Oh yeah.
So when this one gets a little closer,
And
we'll
for Oklahoma football.
yeah, we'll break it. We'll break it down. Ready to recap some of the conference championship games?
Let's do it.
But first,
Schwab Meat is making Friendsmas more fun with another NIL partnership for the holiday season, starring Billy Bowman, Jada Coleman, Kobe McKenzie, and Kinsey Hansen. Schwab Meat has been smoking the highest quality turkeys and hams for your special holiday meals since 1912. Every Schwab ham is cooked and smoked over real hardwood hickory for 10 hours. Make your Christmas meal easy this year by ordering your holiday turkeys and hams online at schwabmeat.com. Get free shipping online orders over $75 with code OKBreakdown. Schwab Meat, the official champion of the holidays.
and three things matter in banking: service, service, and service. And First Fidelity Bank's commitment to exceptional service is more than a promise, it's their foundation. FFB has been by your side for over a century, and they are honored to be a part of your journey. Banking isn't about where you've been, it's about where you are headed. Open an account at an award-winning bank today at ffb.com. At First Fidelity Bank, we go where you go.
And head to the garage for hand smashed patties, butter toasted buns, and ice cold beer. It's the perfect spot to watch any big game. And with all the garage locations being open at 10 p.m. or later every night, it's the go-to late night spot. Visit eatatthegarage.com to find a location near you and order online from the garage in your neighborhood.
It was a fun conference championship weekend. We had, three really good ones and then one whooping.
Yeah.
Let's start with what happened in Atlanta. Georgia wins it 22-19 in overtime. The first SEC championship game that has ever gone to overtime. What a game, Ted. I mean, it was just heartbreaking that Texas lost it at the end like they did. Just absolutely heartbreaking.
I know it. Just absolutely brutal. See, and this is where I go back to the points equal like ratings and excitement. That was a low scoring game where everyone's hanging pretty much on every possession, right? There's nothing about that game that lacked entertainment. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, it was physical all the way down to the very end. And you got to see some really good defense shine out there on both sides. Some great playmaking from quarterbacks. I thought it had everything.
It felt like Texas was undoubtedly the better team in the first half. To me, it felt like they were controlling the game, and somehow, it was 6-3 at halftime.
Right. Couldn't capitalize on any of those areas where, they dominated. What was the yardage was like 280 to 50 or 60 something at halftime.
Texas couldn't, and this was their big issue last year. Remember, they couldn't execute in the red zone, and they couldn't get it done in the second half with Carson Beck out. That's got to be tough for Steve Sarkisian. And you could tell he was so angry at his halftime interview. It almost felt, and it seemed like he was frustrated with the officiating, but I think he could feel the fact that they let a golden opportunity to create separation slip through their fingers in that first half.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I had forgotten about that. That was an awkward interview, wasn't it? One question, and all he said was, well, hopefully they're going to call some holding penalties on them, and then walked off. Wow. Yeah, that was you're right, though, especially in games that are going to be tight. When you're presented with opportunities, you can't come up empty-handed. You just can't.
I know that Bert Auburn, he made the field goal to send it to overtime, but you missed two in the game, in a game that goes to overtime. Now, I'm sure Steve Sarkisian is thinking, we've got to go score touchdowns in those situations. Can someone explain to me why we didn't see some more Arch Manning? Especially down in that area of the field. I mean, they went to him the first play of overtime. They snapped the ball to him. They gained 5 yards, 2nd and 5. You're in great shape. I thought we were going to see more of him. And one of the reasons I thought that is, let me know if you disagree, Ted, but Quinn Ewer's arm, it looks shot to me.
Yeah.
Everything floats.
Nothing
is on a line. Nothing. Like it.
I think it has to do with him being scared. I don't want people to think that I'm like, that's like a character assassination on him. But I think he feels pressure. And whenever Georgia gets to him, he throws everything fading away. And that's why it doesn't have very much zip on it. His footwork is bad whenever he's had pressure. He's trying to do the whole fading away from the people at his feet or whatever. And It's all floated out there. You're right. We were talking about it watching the game in the living room, and I kept joking about going to Arch, but it was only halfway joking that they needed to be able to attack Georgia's defense in some different ways than what they were, and Arch Manning gives you a little bit different angle to attack from. And yeah, he just had the one play 5-yard carry.
I think that was it. It just, for me, and yours has had some injuries now, right? The collarbone, and now he's got the oblique. Like, it doesn't look like he can rip it at all.
He's got that bionic ankle, and that's where I think the issue starts is his base where he's throwing from. He's worried about getting rolled into that ankle, so he's got these little dancy feet whenever he's throwing the ball.
It just, everything looked like it was floating to me. It just looked off. And the reality also may be that when they hurt Carson Beck, it was the worst thing that could have happened to him, because Georgia could not do anything offensively in the first half with Carson Beck at quarterback. And then Gunnar Stockton kind of came in and gave him a spark. Now, he made some mistakes, none worse than that interception. That was bad late in the game.
Really bad. They're about to go just finish the thing, and he just threw. Was he trying to throw that ball away? Is that what that was?
I hope. Because, I mean,
he had crossers, both of them open in the middle of the field, and he just panic and wings it out towards the sideline.
He got destroyed in the overtime. Oh my goodness. And
only the second hardest hit that I've seen on the day to a quarterback, though.
Oh my good. I mean, the helmet goes flying off. It's clean, man. It's shoulder. It's clean, like head to the side. No malicious intent. Just got absolutely blasted. They cut right to their parents. There's some savage director for ABC that cuts right to the parents. The parents are freaking out. It was Stockton's mom, clearly concerned. He just got blasted. And then Carson Beck's mom, clearly concerned because he's running onto the field, arm dangling. The drama of that moment with the visuals of the mom, tremendous stuff from whoever's directing that broadcast.
You're right. And it wasn't only that. It was like every successful play Georgia had when Beck was on the sideline, boom, instant reaction from Carson Beck on the sideline. Is he happy? Is he pissed that they're driving the field without him? What's going on here?
I felt a little robbed that Georgia was able to just run it in with ETN. It felt like the way that the drama built that Beck needed to throw like an underhand pass into the flat for the game winner.
Dude, he couldn't even jog. He had like a numb arm jogging onto the field. That was it was great drama.
I wonder, elbow kind of looked elbow-ish. It did not look good.
Like everything in the throwing chain. If you could draw up exactly how to destroy your arm, it would be try and throw it as hard as you can and hit a wall right whenever you're starting to come through. He wasn't throwing a check down right there. He was trying to throw a Hail Mary bomb.
I know. I just don't know. It was kind of strange. Like, as soon as he took the snap, he's like looking around, looking for people. It was, I don't know. It was just a weird sequence. But hey, Georgia had some fumble luck in this one.
Oh my, did they ever?
I mean, you think about the Stockton fumble.
How did
Evans fumble the reverse
ACL on that hit?
I don't know.
It's like the limp body, I guess, probably saved him being knocked out on the way to the ground.
That's how it felt. But hey,
Georgia's
still the king of the SEC, man.
I was, whenever they went to interview Stockton there after the game, I was like, dude, think about this guy showed up today thinking he was going to be a backup and probably not play at all. And here he is at the 50-yard line giving this interview after he's been knocked out. Maybe it's bad of me. I was halfway hoping for an incoherent response to the question.
Yeah, that makes you a bad person, but you're right. You weren't the only one. Hey, credit to that kid, man.
No doubt.
That was not an easy spot Texas had controlled the entire first half. He came in, gave that team a spark, and they ended up getting it done. And
Credit the play calling with him too. I mean, everything was right at the line of I mean, it looked like our offense, frankly. Everything like bubbles right at the line of scrimmage, just quick, easy throws to where he can't put you in any trouble, except for obviously that interception. But it made for fantastic drama.
we'll break down the college football playoff picture in winners and losers. So we'll get to that, but let's get to the next conference championship game. Oregon Ducks put 45 up and won 45-37. I have to imagine I imagine that you loved the SEC championship game, Ted, but you hated this game. Yards and points, baby. It was beautiful.
Well, it was actually. I mean, I was entertained by it. Um, how good did Sadiq, that tight end for Oregon, look in a uniform?
I I always when you see a guy like that, are you like, is he just super jacked or are his pads really small? Or is it just both?
That's what when we were watching. I was like, I can't tell if he's like 205 or if he's 255 because he had like the no shoulder pad look on.
Jersey
Um,
rolled up, the smallest pants possible. Like the
he
dude
was
was
like
showing as much skin as he possibly could.
he was the Under Armour like plastic molded model that they used to display all of the gear. That's what he looked like. And how about DG? How good did Dylan Gabriel look?
It was fantastic. I just think there's no doubt he's going to be a Heisman Trophy finalist after the season he's had. 4 touchdowns, took care of the ball. He had that one fumble in the fourth, but got back on it. But in critical third down and a couple fourth down situations, when they needed him to make a throw, it felt like he made every single one of them.
Yep.
It was a fantastic performance. I won't lie. I was sitting there going, good for him.
Yeah.
I have to assume a lot of OU fans were feeling the same way I was feeling as he was carving up a good Penn State defense.
Yeah. There was some I mean, I was really impressed with Penn State and I thought we were going to have some like another crazy finish before, they had the ball with the chance to go down, needed a touchdown and 2 point to tie it and they threw the interception which was bad, but um I ended up coming away from that game more impressed with Penn State than I thought I was going to be. Just some incredible running game stuff that they had. I thought Drew Aller played a pretty good game, and they've got some dudes on defense that were doing some really really nice stuff.
Tez Johnson is not easy to cover.
No,
That dude he's not very thick, but that dude can fly and
he looks like a
he
cricket.
perfect. A lot of
Super
people want to
skinny.
compare him to Devontae Smith. I don't think that's a bad comparison at all, but they just couldn't cover the guy in the middle of the field. It was like, oh, DG's ripping one in the middle of the field. Who is it? Oh, it's Tez Johnson, and he's off and running.
He's one of those guys that when you watch the game, knowing that this is pretty much the cream of the crop when it comes to college athletes, he's still moving at a different speed than everyone else out there. And he's smart. I don't know how much he weighs. If you told me he weighed 150 pounds, I'd believe you. But he's stepping out of bounds. I don't know how many, what he end up having, like 11, 12 touches.
11
And,
for 181.
whew, and I don't know how many times he was tackled, if any.
He protects himself.
Smart.
Oftentimes, there's like 3 or 4 more yards, and he's just like, nope, I'm getting out of bounds.
I ain't messing with these guys.
Yeah,
I'm
and
stepping out of bounds.
if you continue to make plays the way that he makes them, you're not really going to say anything to the guy.
I ain't mad at it. If there's a time you got to go try and pick up the first, go do it. But if not, a step out of bounds will be just fine.
Dude can fly. And the only other thing from this game, there's probably a weird feeling for both fan bases. Penn State, you lose the game. You're disappointed in the loss, but your offense generated 523 yards of offense. You almost ran it for 300 yards on Oregon. You scored 37 points. Like, I think in a weird way, Penn State fans are probably walking away from this going, you know what? Not that bad. And then on the other side, Oregon fans are probably going, hey, we got a legit offense, but what's going on with this defense?
Yeah.
That's not exactly a super explosive Penn State offense.
I know. And I would say that sums up exactly how I came away from the football game. Penn State, I was impressed. Oregon, like if they face the right defense, they could be in some trouble.
I'm with you. I think the blueprint to beat Oregon's pretty obvious. Clearly, you have to get stops on defense, duh. But you want to play slow, just to grind it out, run it right at them, dominate time of possession. Like I think that's what. If you want to beat Oregon, you want to make those guys on that offense uncomfortable, make them stand on the sideline for long stretches.
Yep, totally agree. Totally agree. Easier said than done, but if you could draw it up, like here's our formula to win in the football game, that's it. You got to limit the big plays and try and make them go, all the way down the field on you, which, maybe they can, as talented as they are. But I was happy for DG. I thought, like, considering the circumstances, it has to be, is that the best game he's played as a quarterback in college?
Yeah, with what was on the line. They were in the playoff no matter what happened, but to go in year one and beat Ohio State, beat Penn State, beat Michigan, that's it's pretty dang impressive, man.
What's crazy is not a shot at Dylan Gabriel, but he was fantastic and has been all year, but his numbers aren't close to what Bo Nix's were last year.
Interesting.
Bo Nix still, I don't know what it is after that, but going in, threw for over 1,000 more yards, more touchdowns, less interceptions, plus he added a bunch of rushing touchdowns. So just kind of wild to think about, but still incredible stuff. DG, I'm happy for him. I knew I was watching it, though, thinking, man, I'm not even going to wade into the Oklahoma Twitter right now.
Some people took it well. Some people didn't. To be expected. We got a good one in the ACC title game.
It looked like it may not be for a while.
SMU clawed all the way back. That 16-play drive to go tie it with 16 seconds to go. I mean, what an impressive drive. The playmaking from Kevin Jennings was fantastic. And then they give up the kickoff return.
Brutal.
Dabo was just going to take a knee. They were going to take it to overtime. You give up the return. All of a sudden, hey, they make one play on offense, call timeout, and then Nolan Hauser buries it from 56 to win it.
It's crazy when you look at these games. A lot of great football, but a lot of it comes down to special teams. Texas missed field goals. Georgia with the fake punt.
Fake punt. You instantly gain a ton of football karma when you allow an offensive lineman to throw a forward pass. That's just how it works, people.
How about an Academy Award for the playing it off act, and he's standing there as the up protector on the punt, nonchalant, no big deal, catches it, little two-hand touch. That was cool. That was a nice play design. But special teams, man, in close games, it's often the deciding factor. You give up that kickoff return, and then they bury the long field goal. Texas had a couple of missed field goals. think Penn State had at least one missed field goal. Special teams critical in tight games.
There was a big part of me that wanted Rhett Lashley to go for two when they went on that drive. I get why he did it. They had played some really good ball in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like they had gotten key stops. The offense was rolling. They were putting drives together. They were scoring points. I get at that point in time, he had to feel like, hey, if we play more football game, I've got the better team right now. We're playing better, but man, it would have been a lot more fun if they would have gone for two there.
How much did the playoff factor into him not going for it there?
I was
I felt
thinking
like
about that because if you would have gone for two and it just would have been a 1 point loss, I think they end up in the exact same position that they're in.
I know, and I don't think he knew that though, because of had he known that they were in no matter what, he's going for two, right?
I think
I guess you
Clemson
never
did
know.
get off to an incredible start in that game.
They did.
It was 14 to nothing in the blink of an eye.
Yep.
But
And I don't know if because SMU's quarterback is so small, it makes their entire offense look small. And early in that game, it looked like Clemson was playing like it was like, okay, SMU is clearly the non-power five team that has jumped up in division, right? Like that's the way he makes it look, but they showed throughout the game that they are where they belong.
I think this is probably the worst SMU team we're going to see for a while.
You may be right.
I think there's a lot of energy around that program,
A lot of money.
a lot of money. They got Lashley locked into a new deal. It feels like their alumni are as engaged as ever. They're in the playoff. There's a lot to be excited about if you're an SMU fan. So it feels like they've got some serious momentum. I mean, they're in an awesome area in Dallas.
Man, when you look at the stats, they outgained them by 458 to 326. They outgained them on the ground 154 to 64. The two turnovers are what did SMU in, but not going to be an easy out. I mean, we're geared and conditioned to think about like the big programs, right? And like you see all these big names that have always been there. SMU they are deceiving in how good they are.
I'm with you. I think they're only going to get better. If they get better at the line of scrimmage, they're always going to have speed at the skill spots. Always. If they can get really solid O-line, D-line, pay those guys, whether it's out of the portal, out of high school, and have a really solid quarterback, which Jennings looks, I mean, it looks like they're going to be just fine in the near future at that position. Watch out for the ponies, man.
And don't forget, they are right in the heart of the best recruiting territory in the country. And they've always, the top teams take the top tier players out of Texas. And then the next tier is like your Big 12 schools, you know what I'm saying? And then your next tier down here, still good players, but that's kind of where they've been surviving, and that's what the majority of their team is made up of. They just made a playoff. They're going to be stepping up in tier, and we know that they've got the money, and they've said that their donors have said that they're willing to step in. So if they can crack into that top tier of recruiting in Texas, that's a really good job.
ACC needs to do something about their championship game. All the other ones, it seems like electric environments. Theirs was not electric. Whole lot of empty seats.
Well, here's the thing about SMU. I think SMU can be a great football program. but it's not going to change the fact that they have a teensy tiny little fan base. You know,
It's a small
they don't.
school.
It's a small school that's got a very small alumni base. So, I mean, it reminds me of whenever we played Baylor in the Big 12 championship. And it's like, hey, man, Aranda's got a chance to win a Big 12 championship. It's like an hour away from Waco, and there was like 500 people from Baylor at that football game. I mean, you just don't have the massive fan bases that these other schools have.
Come on, SMU people.
Let's go.
And maybe there were a ton of them there. Maybe it was a Clemson issue. I don't know, but it just wasn't. It's not a great look when the SEC championship game looks like this massive event, and then yours is like, where is everyone? Why is there
Well,
no one in the stands?
and you know how it is, though. Like, everyone in Dallas Metro, for the most part, is like a A&M fan, a Longhorn fan, or an OU fan. Like, those are the big, like, if you circle that area. But the young kids that are watching college football now and people that you don't have an allegiance that's fully locked in, SMU is going to start to try and grab some of that share.
Yeah, they got to market themselves well, and it'll help if they go win a playoff game. I know that.
Ain't no better way to market yourself than being in the playoff.
One more game to hit. Not much analysis needed. A little back and forth early, but woo, the Sun Devils throttled Iowa State.
Man,
They got scatterbooed, bro.
I had uh, a fourth grade basketball game to attend. And by the time I got home, I couldn't wait to get home. I knew that they had jumped up early. It's 10-7 or something in the first quarter. It's like, oh, I can't wait. Turned it on, and I was like, oh my God. And they did not look back. Part of me thinks that Arizona State, I know they wanted that bye week, but don't you just kind of want to keep playing if you're Arizona State?
No, you want the
No.
bye.
Yeah,
You want to
I
get as
got you.
healthy as possible. And remember, they did this without their best wide receiver. I mean, they showed Tyson a bunch in the sideline with the sling on. An absolute nightmare start to the second half for Iowa State. Turnovers on their first three possessions of the second half, and Arizona State went touchdown, 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 and we were witnessing a whooping at that point.
They, I, it's hard to know how good they are. It's just one of those years right now where they're getting the bounces. They're making the plays, though. Like, they're creating those. I'm just like, how do they really stack up with the top teams? And it's hard to say that they don't, because they played great on defense. They forced turnovers. They got to the quarterback. They were all over Rocco Becht. They were the more physical team. They ran the ball all over their ass. 248 on 36 carries for a 7-yard a carry average.
Could not tackle Scatterboo.
He looks like he's Mike Allstott back in the day, but he's not that big of a player. He's like 215 pounds. But when he's running the ball, he looks like he's 250, doesn't he?
Like a tank.
Like, looks like a tank.
They kept showing his tatted up parents in the stands, and I was like, that's why he runs the way he does.
Awesome.
It was a great performance from Scatterboo, and Sam Levitt's a lot of fun to watch.
No doubt.
He will sling that thing. He will push it down the field, and then he can do some things with his legs. Like that little QB pin pull play for the touchdown was nice. Like Kenny Dillingham, the thing people may remember the most from this game is his reaction to Scatterboo throwing that ball away.
I didn't even see that.
Oh my gosh, Ted. I need you to Twitter search it right now.
Okay.
You have to see it because it was a weird play. Like it's a run. And Scatterboo, he retreats almost like 15 yards and then decides to throw the ball away, and it's just floating in the air for forever. And the whoever was directing the broadcast, they just cut to Kenny Dillingham's face, and it is an all-time reaction from a coach in game. It is, and it was the exact right, it was the exact appropriate reaction for what just happened on the field.
It's just the
So good.
oh my god,
Dude, they were
it's
picked
like
dead.
how did we get away with that? That's awesome.
They were picked dead last in the Big 12 media poll, and they end up winning the league. What an incredible job by Kenny Dillingham and these players, man, and that staff. Just really, I mean, that's incredibly impressive. They've gone 3-9 the last 2 seasons, and they just won the Big 12 title.
Won it, and yeah, they. I'm trying to find like a reason why they shouldn't have been picked last. Like someone's got to be picked there. I know West Virginia was the year before, right? And they end up having a hell of a year. But man, like you look at their losses of all the teams they played, they lost to Tech, who wasn't horrible, but Cincinnati, and the rest of the time. And I guess they didn't have Levitt that game against Cincinnati, but they've won their last 6 games straight, and all of them pretty much in impressive fashion. That's fantastic. They're the easiest team to root for in the playoff.
I feel like Kenny Dillingham is going to be able to take Arizona State football to its ceiling. And I am very interested to see what that ceiling looks like.
It's going to be an expensive ceiling for Arizona State, but you got your guy. You're going to have to make him one of the highest paid. He has to be paid at least as much as like on the level of the coaches in the playoff, right?
$7 million.
That's where you start.
It's always been one of those programs. I trained in Tempe for the combine. We celebrated my wife's 21st birthday on Mill Avenue in Tempe. And even she was like, how are they not good at football? So
maybe because of the how that may have something to do with it.
But they should have the players, you know what I mean?
You're right. No, you're exactly right.
I'm interested to see what he can do. The only other thing
Indiana
from that game,
paid Cignetti $8.
Yeah. Now Indiana's getting the Big 10 check. That's Arizona true. State's getting the Big 12 check. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure on their situation, like how much of a share they're getting right now. I only concern myself about with OU's situation when it comes to that stuff.
Didn't we hear something that they were like $250 million in debt or something?
Yes, it was very bad.
They've got some serious issues, but this is going to pull the donors out of the woodwork, you would imagine.
Nothing more valuable to that school right now than Kenny Dillingham.
No doubt.
Keep that man happy, and it's hard not to imagine that they're going to consistently play for Big 12 championships.
Yep.
We'll see. He's going to
be hard to keep. I know he's from there and everything, but he's going to be a hard coach to keep.
There's no doubt. He is young, charismatic, and has proven that he clearly knows what he's doing. Only other thing from that game, hated the Shamari Simmons targeting call on the hit on Becht. It's helmet to helmet, but it's face mask to face mask. The guy's seeing what he's hitting. There's got to be a change to this rule where, yes, if you want to say, hey, it's helmet to helmet, but there was nothing malicious about it. He didn't launch. If it's going to be a penalty, it should be a 15-yard penalty. That guy should not be ejected. He certainly should not miss the first half of a college football playoff game for that hit. Like, that's insane.
It's brutal. You may want to get some eyes on the guy in the slot, though, in case he comes. Full speed. And you're right. He's got his head up in a good, safe position. And Rocco Becht sees him at the last second and, like, does like he goes down like 2 or 3 inches, and it's the difference of a direct shot to the chest and a shot that catches some chin on it. You know what I'm saying? Like you there's no way for him to adjust that. You've got to be able to take that into consideration. And I know it's difficult, but that is such a brutal penalty for someone that's about to play in a playoff.
No doubt. All right, let's finish up with our winners and losers of the weekend. But first,
Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
and head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the weekend?
I was kind of split on this one, so I'll offer it up to you. Who is the big winner of the college football playoff? Is it Texas or is it Penn State? I thought both of those teams ended up getting a very, very favorable draw. Texas has Clemson at home, who got the 12 seed. And then if they win, they play Arizona State. Penn State has SMU at their place, and then Boise State in the second round if they win. Now, maybe both of those are bad draws. We don't know. But if you had to pick two teams that you wanted to play in round two, you would probably pick Arizona State and Boise State over Oregon and Georgia.
You think? When you look at the entire bracket, if Penn State's offense is able to play the way that they did against Oregon, you have to feel really good about Penn State's chances, not only making the semifinal, but going and playing for a national title, because we don't know what's wrong with Carson Beck.
Right.
You've got that, and remember, it'll be the Indiana Notre Dame winner playing Georgia to get to the semifinal. If you're Penn State, I think you got to feel really good about your path to going and playing for a national title. No, it's not easy. Nobody's path in this thing is easy, but you look at Texas's overall path to the title game, like they're going to have to go through Oregon or Ohio State or Tennessee. Like they're going to have to go through one of those to get to the title game, while Penn State could get Georgia with their backup quarterback, which is still a really good team. But I don't know. It feels like Penn State was the big winner of how this weird bracket was laid out.
I agree. Yeah. And I mean, I guess I wasn't shocked that it happened, but is Texas, should they really have been the 5 seed?
When everyone was saying Texas was going to be the 7, I disagreed. I thought they were going to be the 5 seed. I think people underestimate how much respect the people on the committee have for what Georgia is.
Yeah.
And the only team they've lost to is Georgia.
Yep.
And you look at like Notre Dame, their loss is it's the most head-scratching thing in college football this season. But
it's almost so bad that you can't really hold it against them.
It's just like, wait, what was that?
It's like it's such an anomaly that, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I was like, Texas is very fortunate to get the 5 seed that they didn't really beat anyone. I mean, the A&M win is a good win, beating them at their place.
But Notre Dame, that they went and did the same thing, right?
Right.
And then their next best win is Louisville.
Yep.
So it's not like Notre Dame has a bunch of top 25. Like, it's not like they've racked up a bunch of top 25 wins. Maybe if USC would have been a better team this year. That maybe
Right.
that could have been the differentiator for them, but they ended up playing a really close game with USC to finish the season. And I I think the committee did a good job of not punishing teams for what happened in their conference title game.
Yeah.
And I think that's the right thing to do.
Yep. I agree. Um, I'll say this: Clemson is not going to be an easy out for Texas. They better figure out their red zone offense if they're going to beat Arizona State.
Arizona State's going to score some points.
Yeah. And given, they've got that extra time, they don't play until January 1, and they are going to have some stuff schemed up and ready. Kenny Dillingham is.
It is goofy that we just watched SMU and Clemson play. Clemson won the game, and Clemson's the 12 and SMU's the 11.
Yeah.
Just a little goofy, right? Just a little goofy.
If you're Texas, who would you rather play right now, SMU or Clemson?
Ooh.
I think it's Clemson.
Jennings is a bit of a wild card.
That's the thing is that
But
a
Clemson's D
quarterback-
line, SMU's D line, though, they got a good group. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
have a bunch of slappies, so
hard to say, I guess. It's just a different dynamic.
I think you'd rather play SMU, right? Just because Dabo, they've been on the big stage a lot.
Yeah.
SMU, there's going to be a certain nervousness stepping on that stage. It's just natural, right? The guys for Clemson,
You're playing a team whose last time walked off the field, they walked off with a loss. I mean, I don't know how you quantify that, but I think there's something there.
does your loser come from this as well, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Alabama. What did you think was going to happen?
I'd said this on here. Despite what Ward Manuel told us last week, where he made it sound like, hey, if SMU lost, they were going to be out. I was, for whatever reason, confident that this committee was not going to punish teams for losing their conference title games.
Unless it was bad, which is interesting because the way the game started for SMU, they were probably on the outside looking in. And the way it finished, they still lost, but they were in. If anything, that's a moral victory, right?
The classic quality loss, baby.
Yeah.
It was, hey, win or, and I think we even mentioned it on the last episode. Hey, lose on a last second field goal. What happens? And I think they got it right, man. No one's going to argue that SMU is a more talented team than Alabama. No one's going to do that. But Alabama, they had some bad losses this year.
2 6-6 losses. And here's the thing. There's going to be people that are pissed that Alabama's not in. There's no doubt. And, I do think that you have a chance for a blowout. Like, I think Alabama Penn State would be a more compelling matchup. And I think that it would probably, I don't know who's going to win that football game, but as you look at it, you would say that even though Alabama has the 3 losses, that is probably a better matchup for Alabama than it is for SMU. But what can you say when you got 3 losses? You know what I'm saying? You kind of lose any real traction. You're hoping to get in, but if you don't, you lost 3 times. You don't have you don't have a really solid base to stand on.
I thought I was having trouble following what Nick Saban was trying to say about scheduling non-conference games when that wasn't Alabama's issue.
Well, I think what he was saying was this, that if you would have taken into consideration the strength of the schedule more so SMU wouldn't have been ranked as high as they were before conference championship weekend. And because they were ranked as high as they were, that's ended up what keeping them in. And it's not their fault, but they were probably ranked too high to begin with.
He was just mad Alabama wasn't in,
Right.
which is fair. He's Nick Saban. He's Mr. Alabama. But
Mr. Alabama.
Does anyone have a problem that is not associated with Alabama? Do we think anyone has a big problem that they got left out for SMU other than be interesting to see what Greg Sankey's reaction is to this?
I know. They got 3 teams in instead of, it felt like all along you were going to get 4. Some at a couple of points it looked like more than 4. I would almost say, like, if you're looking at what would be in the best matchup for Penn State, I think South Carolina would have been the most dangerous team to put in as a 3-loss team.
I do not have an argument for that.
Because Sellers, I mean, you got to factor in a young quarterback and how much better he got from early in the season till how they finished.
There's no doubt. And then a lot of dudes on that defense.
A lot of dudes.
So, but they're not in, which is unfortunate because I do think they're playing like one of the 12 best teams in college football at this point in time. But hey, you 3 losses. You got 3 losses. Indiana Notre Dame's fascinating.
Yeah. Let me say this real quick. I think one of the things that would be easy to do and should happen that can help clear out some of this stuff is there needs to be one conference championship or one non-conference game that is how you finished last year in your conference, ranked all the way to the bottom. There should be the number 1 SEC team plays the number 1 Big Ten. Boom, 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 all the way down. Number 1 ACC plays the number 1 Big 12. Boom, 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 all the way down. And like, if you do that, then you can at least see how some of these conferences match up to against each other. And maybe you do it because the early on's not really a good, clear picture of what people are. Maybe you do it later in the year. Like there's a designated weekend that is like non-conference weekend where you have those crossover games.
That it's too good of an idea. They'd never do it.
I know.
It would make them too much money.
I know. But it's like if you want to, like, because then if you're like Indiana this year finished number 3 and they had a bad, like, if you have an easy schedule, it doesn't let you out of, I mean, I guess you never know what people are from year to year, but like Texas had a super easy schedule and it looks like they're going to have an easy schedule again next year. But right now they would be playing Penn State next year in the non-conference. Like that is, you know, it helps avoid some of those discrepancies in strength of schedule.
It would also just be fun.
Yeah, I agree.
I still think the college football playoff is an entertainment product. I think whether they end up adding a couple more teams to where there's no buys or there's only 2 teams that get a bye, we'll see what it ends up looking like. But the perfect version of the college football playoff for me is the highest ranked team that has a first round game gets to pick their opponent. And then you go down the list.
Yeah. Well, I always wondered, like, you remember how the NFL used to reseed after, or not reseed, but.
Which brings me to my next point, Ted. The second round, you have a team or 2 or 4, whatever, that have a bye. The number 1 seed gets to pick their opponent.
Yeah.
That's why you want to be the number 1 seed.
Or they just play the lowest ranked team that advanced. Like
I think it'd be way more fun if they got to pick their opponent.
Right,
just
yeah.
from an entertainment factor. Like,
sure.
We have chosen you. We think we can beat you. Let's do this. Like there's a certain entertainment that comes with that, especially if the team you pick ends up beating you. The reaction that team would have, oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah, if I mean I could just picture like whoever winning whatever round game being like, we want Georgia at the 50-yard line after the game, right? Bring us Georgia.
And then the head coach is like, "Whoa, whoa,
No, no,
no,
no, no.
no, 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 no. That's
No, we
that's not
want
what we talked
SMU.
about.
We
Yeah,
want SMU.
yeah, that's not what we talked about, guys. It'd just be if you want this to be an entertainment product, let's make it as
Call outs.
entertaining. Yeah, all out entertainment. Come on.
I like it.
All right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
We're brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code OKBreakdown to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. This week, I'm looking at the football board and selecting Joe Burrow with more than 277.5 passing yards and Cooper Rush less than 234.5 passing yards on Monday Night Football. Prize Picks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you can get your money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code OKBreakdown to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
and we are brought to you by Mando. We are Mando men now, Ted.
That's right.
We are using the whole body deodorant. It has become my everyday deodorant. It's great. It's safe. Use it anywhere on your body. It is aluminum free and dye free. And Mando is American made and is our new go to for hygiene products. I also love the 4-in-1 acidified cleansing bar. You go and travel. You just put it in. You know you got everything covered. Shampoo, face wash, body wash. It could even be a deodorant. So it makes packing for trips super easy. And we've got a special offer for our listeners. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with code OKBreakdown on shopmando.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack with code OKBreakdown at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. The starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash or deodorant wipes. Also, free shipping. Use code OKBreakdown at shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. My winner of the weekend, give me the Oklahoma City Thunder. We haven't talked about them in a while, Ted. The West's number 1 seed currently a 2.5 game lead over the other teams in the West. They've won 7 of 8. They've won 3 in a row. Now, the 3 in a row against 3 very bad teams, but they've handled those games the right way, especially Toronto and the first 3 quarters of New Orleans. You would have liked to see them play better in the fourth against the Pelicans, but kind of just came out and punched those teams right in the face and created some massive cushions. When you play bad teams, you got to handle business. And although I didn't love the way that the second half, especially the fourth quarter, went against the Pelicans, it's going well right now, and this is without Chet Holmgren. I love Isaiah Hartenstein. Oh my gosh. The guy just make things happen. He's just a connector, Ted. Rim protector and connector. I love watching the guy play. It's great.
It's going to be awesome. We still haven't been able to see him in the lineup with Chet. He's going to be the perfect, like, it's going to work perfectly, right? Whenever Chet's back and they're at full strength.
I think there's going to be a feeling out period, but and I'm not a X's and O's expert when it comes to basketball, but it seems like Hartenstein just does a tremendous job of creating space for other guys and like getting guys in good position to score. I don't think he's very selfish. I think he's like a team guy. It just feels like he connects a lot of different people. He feels like the vast majority of the time he's making the right play with the ball. And Shea is I mean, he just kept getting to the rim against the Pelicans. They had no answers, just had layup after layup after layup. Did not play particularly well in the second half, but was attacking the rim early, which I loved seeing. And then Jalen Williams is now shooting the hell out of the three. I think his last 16 games, he's 40% from three. If that guy's hitting threes, then he is one of the top 20 players in the league. Like if he's hitting threes with the way that he guards and his playmaking, he is like he's an all NBA type of guy if he's hitting the three at a high clip.
Well, your point about Hartenstein and being unselfish, it, whenever I hear players and ex-players talk about why they like the Thunder so much, obviously they've got great players, but everyone talks about how unselfish the team is and how it's like the perfect group. They play as a unit. There's no like individuals that are trying to get theirs. You know what I'm saying? And I hear that it's a pretty common theme that I hear from a lot of players and ex-players. That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, and you got Caruso back out there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's rock solid. And it seems like it's starting to come together for him offensively. Had some issues early in the season, but feels like those issues have for the most part have been worked out, and that leads to a massive NBA Cup quarterfinal on Tuesday night in Oklahoma City against the Mavericks. Let's go.
Let's go.
8:30 tip. I'm gonna have to drink an extra cup of coffee for that one.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome. Now, tell me if I saw this right. I saw a graphic on the Twitter machine, and it said, like, however they do it, I don't know the formula or whatever, but analytically, the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in NBA history. Did you see that?
It doesn't surprise me because it's probably like a measure, like the efficiency numbers.
Yeah.
And it feels like every year NBA teams are getting more and more efficient
Yeah.
because they understand to shoot more threes.
Right. No,
And this team is the separator for the Thunder right now is how good they are on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah.
And that's without Chet. That's without arguably the best shot blocker in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's shocking, but I don't think anyone would actually say at this point in time the 2024 Oklahoma City Thunder are the best basketball team we've ever seen.
No doubt. No doubt.
But
I just thought that was an interesting graphic.
No doubt.
What's the status on Chet? Everything progressing like it's supposed to?
Yeah, seems like it. I still think it's going to be maybe after the All-Star break. I mean, with how they're winning games,
no reason to rush it.
Yeah, you can be smart. You're still in a great position to have home court in the playoffs. I would like to see him go win the NBA Cup. I know that this thing is kind of a polarizing topic, but I think it would be really good for this team to go play some pressure games together. And there's going to be some pressure around this Dallas game. We all know what happened in the playoffs last year. I'm going to lose my mind if PJ Washington hits like 7 threes. I'm going to lose it. But Luka's back for the Mavs. So this is a game where let's see what this group, I know they still don't have Chet, but let's see what this group does with all the eyeballs on this game. I'm interested to see what it looks like. I think it's good for the team, right? With the goals that they have, it's good for them to play in these pressure-packed regular season games.
Internally, try and make it into something huge so you can see how you react and gear up for the playoffs. I like it.
Apparently, Jalen Williams, the other Jalen Williams, is the driving force behind them wanting to go win the NBA Cup, because I believe he just texts his teammates all the time saying that he wants the money, which I respect.
He's a great motivator,
which I respect. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one on Tuesday night, and let's go win the cup.
What's the payout
boys.
to the winner?
I think every guy gets $500,000.
$500,000. There you go.
I don't care how much money you have. $500,000 is awesome.
Nice little Christmas bonus.
Absolutely. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. My loser of the weekend. My goodness, what happened in Stillwater? What? Okay, first of all, disappointing season. 3-9, winless in the Big 12. We can all agree, awful season for the Pokes. But all the ways you can handle the contract situation for the best coach in franchise history, the best coach in school history, like this is the route they took. Like, what was that? How can you allow this to become public like this?
I don't know. The only thing I can think of, and this is not an endorsement, it's just like wanted to show the fans that they are doing something, but really all they did is turn it into the Real Housewives of Stillwater, letting all of your drama play out for everyone to see. And people don't want to be a part of that. Right? You got big hires that you got to make. This is a big transfer portal window. A lot of things have to happen. And I mean, you got to imagine if you're a coordinator that's up for that job, you're like, man, is that really a situation I want to go coach in?
It feels like this could have been worked out behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And off the record.
Yeah.
Not, hey, let's have a special Board of Regents meeting and let everyone know about it. And then there were the rumors that if he didn't agree to a new contract, they were going to fire him with cause. I have no idea if those rumors are true, but those rumors were out there.
Which,
it couldn't have been more awkward, dude.
And the way everyone responded to that was, well, if he doesn't agree to a restructuring, like that's not cause for firing someone. And I don't know if this is true, but it immediately went to me. It's like they're blackmailing him. Like they've got something on him that if he doesn't agree to terms, they're going to expose this issue that they know of and fire him for cause. Right? Am I crazy for thinking of it that way?
No, that's how it felt to me as well. But I do know this. I'm glad he's still coaching there. College football is better with Mike Gundy in the mix. And what he's accomplished in Stillwater, like I don't think people give that guy enough credit for what he's accomplished there. I
understand the reaction. I mean, this year was really bad, but if you look at how most of the people across the country responded to the drama, I mean, almost everyone has said, Mike Gundy's a hell of a coach. What are they doing? We'd love to have him at our place.
People are going to make a big deal out of this, and it feels like a big deal, but is there any way somehow this is like a Harbaugh at Michigan situation when he took the pay cut? It brings the best out of Mike Gundy somehow?
Yeah.
Because it feels like they just really alienated Mike Gundy, and he's not going to be happy about this, but maybe it's the opposite way. We all know what ended up happening in Michigan a couple years later. Harbaugh wouldn't win a title. Like, I don't think they're going to go win a national title. But could this somehow be exactly what Mike Gundy needed?
Light the fire. I can understand that, you make a lot of money. You're very secure in your job. Maybe the monotony's gotten to you a little bit and the fire's not there. Well, maybe they relit the fire. And maybe it's 4D chess, and that's what they were planning all along. Let's make this public and messy, and we want pissed off Mike Gundy coaching. I doubt that's what happened, but
well, it'll be interesting to see how much, what the pay cut was. But if they take that money and go use it on players, then maybe it's the best thing. I don't know, but it was just with what Mike Gundy has meant to Oklahoma State football, I found it very, very odd that it went down this way. I was almost, it almost made me sad, if that makes sense. And
Right. No, I
I'm
get
an
it.
OU guy, but it's like I was trying to imagine if something like that happened to Bob Stoops, like how that would make me feel as a guy that played for him. I don't know. It just, like if something like that happened to Bob, I feel like you and I would come on here and go, what the hell was that?
Right. Yeah.
You don't do that. And I don't know, it was weird watching it play out so publicly the way that it did.
I know. I had like there was so many rumors swirling around. Was it Friday night that I was like, nobody knows anything. I've checked out of this deal. Call me when the dust settles. Because I had heard that he was fired and that he wasn't fired and that he's going to be fired. And there was so many things swirling. That was wild.
I don't think, did you see what Ian Rappaport said?
Yeah.
I don't think that helped things. He put out there that if Gundy wouldn't agree to the restructured contract, that Falcons offensive coordinator Zach Robinson was going to be Oklahoma State's top choice. Former Oklahoma State quarterback Zach Robinson. Oklahoma State's fans probably could have gone without knowing that information.
Right. It's like not only are we publicly going to drag you through this, we're also going to point out who our top choice would have been and have everyone saying we should have done that. Like, why didn't we do that? 3 games into next season, here it comes again. Setting yourself up for another round of unnecessary public, mudslinging.
Just really strange the way that this whole thing went down.
Drama.
Yeah. All
Which,
right.
hey, I like the drama. Sign me up for the drama. I was just shocked that it was Oklahoma State with Mike Gundy.
We're used to drama with Mike Gundy, but it's usually of his own doing.
Right.
It's not like this.
No, no, that's funny.
Birthday shout outs. Welcome to the world, Mackenzie Gwendolyn Ferguson.
Happy 60th birthday to Jody Inlow.
And happy birthday to Dina Ray.
Yes.
Dinah. Dina.
Yes. Dina Ray.
Dina Ray. Happy birthday, Dina Ray. On that note, episode 481 in the books. We'll have a new podcast that'll drop on Wednesday. Just a reminder, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you check out our website, okbreakdown.com. Hope you all have a great start to your week. Until next time, we appreciate y'all for listening. Do what you always do, Oklahoma. Take care of each other.